Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 128 of the Party Invite Show. I'm your host Tegan, and I'm joined by Vilos and Obsydianyte.
Yeah.
Hi.
And the three of us, every week we get together to talk about something in gaming. Half the time it's now playing the games that we've been playing in the past couple weeks or so, and the other half is a party topic. Well, we're going into the holiday season, so where today normally would be a now playing episode, I think it was Vilos had the great suggestion of talking about games that we're thankful for. So in the discussion for this game, we realized that each of us have a very different take on this question. What games are you thankful for? And I'm sure that you guys at home are going to have totally different versions of this for yourself, but we'd love to hear what that question means to you. You can let us know on any of our socials, Discord, and you can find everything else on our website, partyinvite.games. But you know, we didn't start a doc for today's show. Do you guys mind skipping Blissin' Up to just hop into the topic, since it's pretty much one big Blissin' Up, unless you got something.
Oh yeah. I'm
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Besides me seeing some cool clouds this morning, which is pretty much my Blissin' Up every week, I ain't mad to skip it. So jumping right into it, I really did like the variety we had in the takes that we're going into this with. So we're recording this on November 16th. We're about to head into the real holiday season. Basically, from this weekend on through the rest of the year, I would say, is the official holiday season. You know, Halloween's its own special fun thing. It's my favorite holiday of the year. But now that we're on this side of it, things are usually busy for everybody. In some way, shape, or form. There are games released. There's the Game Awards coming up. There are 2 holidays. Maybe you're spending those with friends or family, or maybe you're at home. And I'll start mine off with, this is the time of year where once I started going to college and I met people from other places, from other walks of life, one of my favorite parts about this whole season was Friendsgiving and Festivus. Of course, Festivus is later. Festivus for the rest of us from Seinfeld is later in December, but Friendsgiving is a similar thing. The whole idea is you get your found family all together, you feast, you hang out, for this holiday time of year. Not everybody has close family that they would like to visit or that they even can visit. And so, finding your found family and being able to share time with them is great. But if you're like me, I just moved up to Seattle here a couple years ago, and I'm still trying to meet new people. I'm in a better place now than I was the past couple of years, but it can be hard to meet people. And if you're one of those people who spends a lot of time online, and you for example like gaming with other people, or hanging out in Discord or watching videos online together, whatever it is, I want to spotlight the opportunities that you can have to enjoy Friendsgiving online. So in that case, let's see. It's all about Friendsgiving, right? I want to shout out games that allow you to spend time getting cozy, hanging out with your friends from the comfort of your computer. So if you can't go out and hang out with people, and there are a lot of couch co-op games we've talked about in the past that are great this holiday season, like Heave Ho is a favorite, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the ones that you can play online, like entirely online, and there are really no other requirements. I think that accessibility is an important thing in 3 of these. One of them not quite so much, but let's see. Can I? Oh, there we go. That's not the one I meant to start with, but I'm going to start with this one. It's Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is a game we've talked about extensively on here. The gameplay itself is a lot of fun. You use traversal things. You have 4 different types of space dwarves to go mining with. You shoot bugs. You yell out, ridiculous things, your character does. And you share in this loot. Everybody's cooperative all the time. But one of the things that sets this game apart for me is that it has this hub. When you load up the game in your world or in a friend's, you load into this space station, right? And this space station has a bar that you can drink space dwarf beer in. Some of them are really funny. You can drink it and see what ridiculous things happen. Sometimes there's low gravity when you drink this thing. Sometimes it explodes you around the room, or you get absolutely trashed and your character's like stumbling around and stuff. There's music you can play. There's an arcade cabinet that they added to this. You can even find some hidden things like some soccer goals that you can set up anywhere on the screen. It's very charming and it's cozy. Whenever I load into that world, I feel kind of like I'm at home. You know, the crew loads in, you got little activities to do while everybody rounds up. And, you know, if somebody takes a break, there are all of these little goofy things exploring the arcade cabinet and stuff that you can just goof around in. And it's that kind of vibe that just makes me feel like very warm, you know, both physically and metaphorically. Like it's the kind of game, when I think of that hub, I can already feel the flannel. Like 2 of the games I've got on my list today, as soon as I see them, I'm like, oh, that's wintertime. I'm cozier already just by seeing the picture. So I just love Deep Rock. It's super accessible. It doesn't have crossplay except between Xbox and Steam, and that's very important. Or sorry, Xbox and the Microsoft Store. But the Microsoft Store and Steam cannot play with each other. That's important. We've had multiple people buy the game on the wrong platform. It's a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. So make sure you know who you're going to play with before you buy the game. But that is just a huge one for me that I'm so thankful that I'm able to casually jump in with to people. This is the kind of game that I never uninstall. Because as soon as somebody's like, hey, is anybody out there? I'm like, yep. When are we loading up? I'm already in. I'm already playing Jumpy Boots or whatever the arcade cabinet's called. So highly recommend. I mean, you guys have, Vilos, you've played it, and Sid, you've seen it. I know a bunch of our community members regularly play it. This is like, you know, they have tables and stuff in the hub that have beer, and during the Oktoberfest event, they had like pretzels and stuff everywhere. It was great. But this is the closest thing I can get to having like a multiplayer place to feast, like an equivalent of an actual bar you can hang out in. And I don't think there's any game that does it better than this one. If there is, I would love to hear it. So, yeah, it's all about that.
So what you're saying is all we have to do to summon you if we ever want you back in town, we just have to be like, rock, and then you'll come crashing through like, like the Kool-Aid Man
and stone. That is exactly right. You know, I was explaining the way that the rock and stone thing works. If there anybody who's never played the game, you hit the V button on keyboard and your character raises their pickaxe or their beer and yells out one of these phrases from the game, and most of them revolve around rock and stone. But man, if you type did I hear, what was it? Did someone say rock and stone? And the whole chat blows up. It's really great stuff. Depending on the beer you drank, it might literally blow up. But anyway, that's Deep Rock Galactic. I talk about that one a lot, but if you're somebody who's looking for a cozy game around, like you're looking for a game to play online with your friend, it's the holiday season, so you're looking to buy something. It is on Game Pass if that helps you out, but this is one of the best games I can recommend if you're just like, I just want to goof around. Just give me a game that I can play, but it's mostly just an opportunity to just hang out and socialize with my friend, you know? So I've got others, but I'd love to switch to one of you and kick it back and forth a little bit, much like that soccer ball. How many jokes can I make about the mini games?
None.
Yeah.
No more.
No more.
Not enough.
Vilos,
for sanity.
What did we bounce over to you? Vilos.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it's all about escaping into the worlds of video games, and you know, some of those games out there just do it a whole lot better than others. Obviously, I would typically say I'll just jump into a Xenoblade game, but I don't want to talk about that today. But
I want to say, because you're not going to, that is a great ensemble game. So as far as like being around your found family, I think that's
my friends are all there.
That's right.
Yes.
And some of your lovers.
Exactly. So all of that is definitely, like, it's been said. But one of my big ones right now that's on my mind is one that I just finally added a physical edition to my collection, and that is Axiom Verge 1 and 2.
Oh, nice.
So Axiom Verge, if you are not familiar, it is one of the greatest indie hallmarks of all time. The first game was really a revitalization of the Metroidvania genre. And the second one, I have not played through yet, but it's a little bit different. It's its own game. Yeah, I bought both of these games on digital a long time ago, but Limited Run made a new Switch version, physical, and boy, it's been very expensive for a very long time. But I found it discounted, and I am extremely happy to have it finally on cartridge. But Axiom Verge it's in a world that, nothing's ever really been in before. Just like it would be with any other Metroidvania, it puts you into a situation, and you're there to find your way out in both metaphorical and physical ways. And the world of Axiom Verge is just wild. If you're familiar with Metroid, it's very similar as far as visually, but it's just a world of like digital monstrosities, and it's got a little bit of a horror element to it. It's always creepy, but when you're playing this game, you're playing this game. Like, it's very intense for what it is.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, it's extremely intense, and the whole point of the first game, the second one, it's apparently gotten better, but the first game is you really do get lost in it, both because you're not like sitting there with a real life map, and it's got very few objectives. You're really just trying to get from point A to point B, and there's so many things in between to avoid and to pick up. If you you probably want to upgrade your weapons and stuff like that, so you should probably go on this route just in case maybe there's something special out there. But yeah, that really is the definition of my escaping into another world. This is something that, it's not just a something that I can turn off my brain and just float on, like when I play Madden, which is often. In Axiom Verge, the world of Axiom Verge, you really have to pay attention. You really have to be in it the entire way. So
not like that time that I backtracked for like 3 hours and then looked it up and realized I was a foot away from the exit. Oh man!
Exactly.
I wasn't paying attention.
and Odie's calling me out in chat, but when you play game, you play game. Yes. Well, this particular series is really, really intense with what it does, and I appreciate it so much, because it's got just a little extra level that most games don't. And it's just a clear passion from the developer, very clearly. And if you haven't, and you want to find a different kind of world that maybe you haven't explored in other games before, definitely pick up one of the Axiom Verge games, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bounce it over to you then, Sid. You play video games, right?
That's me. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll wake up and then I'll brush my teeth and then I'll have a piece of toast, and this is not a Futurama reference.
Natural chat.
And then I'll just spend the rest of my days gaming and gaming and gaming. That's all I do. I mean, literally, that's all I do, and that's all I've done since the day I was born. Playing the game of life. But no. Anyway, to get into what actually I'm thankful for, I don't really have a very specific game or like series or anything like that I'm thankful for. I'm like not thankful for certain games.
Okay, thanks, Sid. I'll talk about my game then. I've got.
Damn.
You're like, first off, I'm not thankful for any specific games. I can't think of a single one. Not thankful.
Well,
at all.
You didn't let me get to my point though. Is because I'm not thankful for certain games. I'm not like sentimental about them, like any certain game, but like I'm thankful for just gaming as a whole. Because like there's no game that I play to like evoke a certain emotion or like embrace a season or something like that. I guess the only exception I would have is whenever it rains, I just get the instinctual urge to play like Animal Crossing, just because it reminds me of a time when I was younger on the and playing it on the GameCube during this like massive thunderstorm. But I think that's like a memory unlocked sort of affair. I wouldn't say that I like akin that to it, like playing it to evoke that certain emotion. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, just gaming as a whole. Because like, even though I joke all the time, like I've been playing video games since I was 1 year old. That's actually true. It's not like a fake tagline or something. That's actually something I've been doing forever.
But you've only been
But like,
paid to do it since you were 4.
oh well, you joke, but I'm kidding. Could you imagine?
Oh
Just
my
like
god.
instead of being like a child actor, just being a child gamer. Like what would that even be like?
I think it'd be like a Truman Show thing where you'd just be stuck in the life of a streamer, like you were just,
Yeah.
born into it.
Animal crackers in my soup. Guns and bullets go pew pew pew. Like, yeah. Oh gosh, that commercial haunts me. But no. I mean, the first game I ever played was Hogan's Alley, which is for the NES. And the way that I would quote unquote play, because I'm a child, little tiny baby, so I didn't actually like hold the light scope, the big thing. My dad would hold it for me, and I would pull the trigger, on the right targets, because you're supposed to like take care of all the gangsters and protect all the hostages and whatnot, or the citizens, or whatever you want to call them. But he would leave that up to me, to judge which one is the right one to, go after. So I mean, that really helped me with my hand-eye coordination, my judgment, and all that things like that, even when I was a little tiny baby. And then when I lived with my mom, uh, they were separated, like when I was like little. So I would go from my dad to my mom. Well, I guess I would go from my mom to my dad because like I've lived with my mom for like ever. So I would go from my mom to my dad, and whenever I was at my mom's, I would play the original Sonic the Hedgehog on I think it was the Genesis that we had. We didn't have like the Master System. We had the Genesis, and so she and I would take turns playing that. And like that's what I did when I was at my mom's. So like no matter where I was, whether I was at, like which parents I was at, I was always playing a video game. And even on the way there, back and forth, I had my Game Boy and I had my Game Gear. So I was still playing, games for as long as I was being alive. If I was like, I'm a child, I don't do much before school. So like I'm sitting there playing video games. Oh, we want to watch some educational TV? No, video games. Like that's just who I was.
Yeah.
So I mean, I played them so much that like I literally learned how to read from video games. Like because there's so much reading in early video games. Why is there so much reading with that crappy text, like pixel text? It's awful. But you know what? I still have perfect vision still for now.
Oh
And
gosh. I'm
I have
happy
a
for
large
you.
vocabulary. Thanks, video games.
That's what I'm talking about.
All your base are belong to us.
Yeah, localization be damned.
Yeah.
That is grammatically correct. And I won't hear anything objectifying or objecting to that.
That's good.
No, but I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's hard for me to pick a specific game. I guess if I had to do that, I would say Hogan's Alley. But like, I could say Mario Kart because Mario Kart gave me the principles that I needed to learn how to drive, which is weird to say, but like, whenever I got into a car for the first time, I was like, oh, I know exactly what to do because like, I know brakes, I know turning.
I learned how to drive a trailer from games like Grand Theft Auto, like a trailer pulled behind your, truck. And I said that to the people I worked with after I'd been driving my truck for work for like a while. And they're like, have you driven with the trailer before? I'm like, no, but I understand the basics. And they're like, but you've never done it? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be fine. I mean, you can watch me, but here we go. And they're like, well, let's have you back in, have you back up because that's the hardest part. And I was like, I mean, I know there's no substitute for experience, but like, guys, I got this. And sure enough, I knew what I was doing. Like the physics in games are realistic enough now. I'm not saying every game is gonna give you some valuable lesson, but like it's like in Metal Gear Solid, they're like, oh, I did the VR training, so I pretty much know
Oh
what I'm
Lord.
doing. It's like, well, okay.
Well, see, then you understand where I'm coming from. Like, I like how we both have like matching stories, kind of like this. Like the first one was the teeth story, and now we have like learning to drive from video games. The story.
It's like that thing. I always want to say fallacy, but that's not what it is. Where if you get like a bunch of people in a room together, a bunch of them are gonna have a birthday. They're gonna share a birthday, even
Oh,
though you'd think that mathematically they wouldn't, because there are 365 days in a year. But if you get like 100 people into a room, it's very likely that a bunch of them will have a shared birthday.
phenomenon, maybe? I don't.
Yeah, but
I don't.
there's another word. I probably should have thought of it between now and the last time I brought this up. But I guess I'm no scientist. But yeah, I love those things. They're they subvert expectations. But it's like you share enough video game stories like this and you realize like, oh wow, I thought this really weird obscure thing, or like the teeth thing from the other episode. I thought this was so obscure that I would be the only one, and then you share it and it's just like, oh, you're a weirdo too? Great. Found
You have
family.
teeth? Like without context, the teeth story. Like,
Oh my
what?
gosh. As an aside, did you see the city skylines thing with the teeth? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so there's actually some AI
Oh,
program.
wait. Actually, yes. Is this where like the game is like so wonky about like its rendering that even the people are modeled down to their teeth?
Down to their teeth. So
Yeah.
I saw in a follow-up article that was actually related to something completely different, that there's some program that uses AI to generate NPCs. And they tried this out in City Skylines 2, but when they generated these NPCs, they gave every single NPC a full set of teeth for some reason, even if you zoom in all the way, it's not like you can see anybody's teeth. But they were there, and the game tried to render them even though you couldn't see them. So the reason that City Skylines 2 was running so poorly, at least one of them, was because every single one of the thousands of people on your screen had a full set of individual teeth. And that was a lot for your computer to render. What a ridiculous problem.
Literally no game is made to do that. Like, why would they have done that at all?
Well,
They would just maybe they had like a teeth fetish or something.
That's like an ambition, like very specific ambition.
The AI
I'm gonna live out my dream of being a dentist whether you like it or not.
The AI wanted the one thing it couldn't have. Teeth.
Aw.
Teeth.
Enhance.
Yep.
But
Anyway,
that's it. That's it for me. Like I said, that's why I can't really pick out a game, because gaming is responsible for literally everything about every facet of my life. Like, I met all of my best friends, all of the people that are closest to me, all the most important people in my life I've met through gaming. So thanks, games.
Yeah.
They made me who I am. Yeah.
Heck
That's
yeah.
the best gift ever, actually. So
Wow.
video games would actually be thankful for me, because take that.
They never taught you humility though, and I like it.
I was wondering how long it would take to get to that point. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, then I'll bounce back over to me. I'll mention the second game that is one of the ones that a bunch of us in the community here have mentioned that we never uninstall, and that one is Plate Up. As far as going into specifically Thanksgiving, I don't think there is a single video game out there that is better at emulating those cozy Thanksgiving Friendsgiving vibes. So in Plate Up, again, these are games I've talked about before, so I apologize if you're hearing me talk about it for the 5th time, but the reason I picked this is because it's so accessible. Plate Up is very similar to Overcooked. Just imagine that you're in it for more of a slow burn instead of a fast, really chaotic panic, because Overcooked can be a lot to handle, especially once things start catching on fire, But in Plate Up, 1 to 4 people, because you can play by yourself, 1 to 4 people will hop into a restaurant. You start your own restaurant. You choose where it's going to be, so you can choose if it's in a snowy area or out in the country or whatever. And you pick one of many different types of dishes to sell. Of course, when you very first start the game, I think you're just making steaks maybe. But there are dozens of different things you can cook, many dozens of things. And so, of course, this time of year, you can make turkey, you can make sweet potatoes as a side, you could make steak. Of course, I am preferential to ham around this time of year.
Steak?
Steak. I mean, look, I'm not telling you what to cook for Thanksgiving. I'm just saying it's there.
Fair enough. I've never heard of steak for Thanksgiving. That's a new one.
Well, you got fish in there too. But you've got a bunch of other stuff. You've got pies. You've got some other like dessert confectionery. What is it? Pies and cakes. Cakes are different. And actually cakes are their own more complicated and interesting mechanic than any other thing in the game. I won't get super into it, but This game is all about opening your restaurant, figuring out how to build the layout. You've got to set out enough tables for your customers. You need to make sure you have a good setup to wash your dishes. And then your cook has to have everything in the kitchen from plates and the trash can for when they accidentally make the wrong thing, oops, or enough counter space or whatever to operate this restaurant the way that it's meant to be. And every single level, you're given a bunch of stuff you can choose from to add to your restaurant, you know, for the people in the front of house or back of house. And you can move around every little part every single round. So if you decide you don't like something, you can just change it up the next time. But this game, I mean, you're literally in a kitchen, you know, so, or at least a couple of the characters are, a couple of the players, and it gives me that vibe of like the same kind of happy, like not quite anxious because stuff's busy. And I wouldn't call this a game that makes me anxious at all. I would call Overcooked a game that makes me anxious, even though I like it. But I wouldn't call Played Up an anxious game, but you know, you gotta make sure that everything's being served on time and stuff. But it's really gratifying, especially when you're playing with the team, to know that your system's working really efficiently. Or like watching somebody do something and realizing, oh, it'll make their life easier if I change this thing I'm doing just a little bit. And that camaraderie that comes from that is, well, that's what Friendsgiving is all about, y'all. Take that to the bank.
It'd be much better if you didn't forget this or that.
I forget a lot of things all the time, so you can't hold me accountable for my own actions, is all I'm saying.
Also, what's really neat about Played Up is that, you know, you can have your chat people be in it, right?
You can.
So, like, if you're streaming and there's like a command or extension or something you can add, and then the ultimate Friendsgiving, you know, you can have people all up in your restaurant and then give them terrible service. I mean, good service, the best service.
Yeah,
2 stars,
service.
5 stars.
You know, I visited PlateUp's website to confirm what platforms it's on, and all there is a link to the Steam page and literally nothing else. What? Usually these websites are pretty good. Well, okay, well, I can for sure tell you it's on PC. It might only be on PC. So I'll try to get to the bottom of that. That's weird that this wouldn't have that listed anywhere.
No, I know it's on Switch.
Oh, there's a website. Okay, let me tell you what just happened.
It's on all platforms.
It's on all platforms. I went to plateupgame.com and it was just the link to the Steam page. But then if I went to the Yogscast Games, who made it, yogscastgames .games/plateup. This is the real website. That's weird. Anyway, like Sid said, it is it's on all platforms. I think it's like $20 tops. It also goes on sale every once in a while. It doesn't have crossplay, as far as I know. It's only on the platform you're at. But while this game, I believe, does have co-op in person, because your screen never really moves. Like, I don't see any reason it wouldn't have co-op. We always play here online. So if you're looking for a game to play with your friends, again, a game that's just something you can be doing while you're being social with each other, Played Up is it. If you kind of like that energy of building your own area, I like base building in games. This kind of has elements of that, and then that frenetic energy of Overcooked, where you're kind of scrambling to make sure your tasks are done or whatever. The game's not always that hard. You can amp it up if you want to, which is what we usually do, but it's great stuff. So there's literally not a game I would more highly recommend for a Friendsgiving than Played Up. This is the one. It's great. Yeah, Odysseus says it's cozy until it's not. That's exactly right. So I've got a couple more, but Vilos, I can bounce back to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my next one is another one that I've been thinking a lot about because I got the physical copies, and that, of course, is Coffee Talk. Again, you're just thrust into a world and you are to live in it, period. You get to make choices. You get to talk to the people that are in it. And just like you said with Xenoblade, the people in Coffee Talk are absolute characters. Like, there's nobody that feels undefined. You know all of these people that are in both of these games. You learn who they are through several conversations. I mean, the first game was only about 5 hours long. The second one, I actually took about 8 or 9 hours to get through it. And then there's replayability in both of them. So there are multiple endings depending on making your good choices, bad choices.
Are you more of a black coffee ending or a frou-frou ending like me?
I guess the frou-frou ending, because definitely the first time around you want to get everything right. That's my deal. Because the whole point, the options that it gives you is when you first meet a character, you have a chance to figure out what their drink is, what their drink of choice would be, and you only have one shot at that until you play it again. So that's where the differences are on the different endings and things like that. Because if you screw up the first time, it can affect the entire relationship you have with so and so.
Wow.
But
you shouldn't cry over spilled coffee, though. That's what they say.
Just the cream.
Well, there's a couple Nico situations there, a couple cat ladies that if you get it wrong, you literally can't even talk to them anymore. So
wow,
gotta
just
get
how
that
it is
right.
in real life. Cat girls only give you one shot.
Yep. And just getting to know the characters there. It's one of those where you're absolutely in a different world, even though it's got a lot of similarities to the real world. It's actually in real world Seattle, but with all these fantasy characters. So
that is intriguing. I never knew that.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's got the Seattle vibes. The newspaper that shows up at every chapter beginning is really hilarious and has very topical real world things mixed in as jokes.
Like there's a lot of dog poop around here, or what?
I wish I had my screenshots. Actually, no, I do have my screenshots on my phone. There's some really funny ones. There was like an Elon Musk reference even on the second game.
That's very topical.
Does he live up?
Oh, the second game. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little references to real life in some of the things they give you in these newspaper clippings.
Do we see the Space Needle at all?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes. It's in a couple of the visuals in the game.
I was about to say, because is it really Seattle if we don't?
That's right.
That's like all they have up there.
I mean, it doesn't make a big deal about that part of it. Looks like I can't access them right now. But the newspaper stuff is really fun because half of the story is really based around the races, the different types of people that you see, and the issues that they come up against. But each one of those also has the real world issues wrapped around them. Like in the second game, there's a lot of talk about crunch and your work-life balance period as a developer of games for a couple of the characters. And it's like, okay, this is topical for both the people in the story, for the developers that made the damn game, and what's happening in real life right now with gaming as far as the business side goes. So,
dude, I'll even say more to that. Hearing our local NPR affiliate talk about games regularly is kind of different because it's like a local thing. Like there's so many companies are based up here. So when they're like, hey, layoffs at this small company over here, yada yada, and also at Twitch or at Amazon or something, I'm just like, oh right, I live in a place where those are local companies, like local in air quotes, but that's technically true. It's kind of
right.
It's so different.
And the world is different enough from reality in just the right places,
like the ears.
Very clearly. I forget his name for some reason. One of the main characters is a satyr, and he's a social media influencer, and it's really funny seeing him be the most out there, very unrealistic, but we see them in real life, unrealistic influencers. Yes, Lucas, there we go. Which he has an actual Twitter and Instagram that's still going, by the way.
Funny.
That's
yeah. But seeing him in the game and then also in real life tweets and stuff like that is just really funny. How it melds the worlds a little bit. but these characters just give just enough of a difference from reality where you do feel like you're escaping, and you are meeting these new people that kind of fall in love with. And since you do get to make a lot of choices, you do get to kind of direct how certain conversations go in the game. It's just that extra little bit of interaction that not every game has. If it was just a visual novel, it'd be different. But there's plenty of things that you have to do in order to get things to happen, and that's what I love about it. And that's the world that I like to see.
Vilos, when I played Coffee Talk 1, this is not a knock against it. I feel like it was 90% visual novel talking. Again, not a knock.
Mm-hmm.
And 6% making coffee. Sometimes I made coffee, but mostly I just listened to people chat about their lives and stuff. Which, again,
the second game is more
perfectly cool. Well, I thought it was funny because I just played Triangle Strategy with you last week, and it was like 80% visual novel. Well, that's in air quotes because that's not actually a visual novel game, but it was exposition. And then 20% combat, which was just, again, not a knock, just not what I expected.
Oh, you came here to fight? No,
I definitely came there to fight.
Triangle Strategy.
This is an interactive book. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, there's like 2 episodes of Game of Thrones in between every single fight in that game. That is definitely a thing.
That's all right.
But
now that I have a better expectation, I can handle that.
But episode 2 of Coffee Talk, Hibiscus and Butterfly, definitely has more gameplay itself. So there's more choices because you have better options. You have a full new set of teas and coffees that you can make with the blue pea and hibiscus ingredient options. So it makes a lot of a difference. The second game is honestly far better in my experience. A lot of people were like, it's more of the same, or even didn't like it as much because it didn't change a whole lot. But it feels much better to me. The writing's better. The characters exhibited in the second game are better. And if you mess up the coffees and stuff like that, it does make a bigger difference. When I was reviewing the trophies, I was like, oh, that could have been really bad if I had made the wrong choice at that point.
It'll be like you messed up the coffee, so they you didn't put caffeine in it, so they slept through their meeting and they got fired. And it's like layoffs at big Seattle company attributed to local coffee shop.
Well, yeah, I mean,
take that to people, because the first thing I went to was just like, oh, you got my coffee wrong? I'm about to assault you. Like,
well, one of the characters, the one that chooses the hibiscus stuff, she's a banshee, and she's basically looking for an opportunity to be a singer. And
I was about to ask, is she in a band?
Not in a band, but she does want to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I accidentally made the wrong choice because you're also not just making the copies. There's an opportunity to give gifts at certain points in the game. And Lucas had given me his number, I think it was, on a piece of paper to give to her in the future because he accidentally pissed her off during a conversation. And he's like, I'm so sorry. Will you give her this when she comes in next? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't realize, because it was like the second time, maybe even the first time it happened, I didn't realize how to give her the thing. I thought I would give her the coffee and then give her the thing. But no, you're supposed to put the thing on a tray that the coffee is on, but you don't really know that the coffee is on a tray until you have that option. And I just completely missed it.
Wow.
And then they never made up ever again.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing. They didn't actually make up. I did make the right decision late in the game to make them at least friendly again. But there was a better opportunity where she could have had like her potential job opportunity like way earlier.
Wow.
Than like the end game. Otherwise, it was a thing where she wasn't opening up as a person. She was like keeping herself closed off still. So she didn't really talk as much as she could have in the game had I made that right decision first.
Dang, dude. Sometimes bean juice ain't enough. You gotta
or hot leaf juice.
Hot leaf juice. Would you say sometimes that game is all coffee and sometimes it's a tease? Am I muted?
Unsubscribe
Is this
right
thing?
now.
This just in, breaking news in Seattle. Assault!
You just see a fist go through the side of the screen. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, that's good to hear. You know, once again, found family. You said, and you know, like when I played the first game, I don't know how I didn't really understand this, but before we moved up here, I didn't really understand that Seattle had a reputation for. Actually, I didn't know basically anything about Seattle or Washington, pretty much at all. I definitely didn't know anything about Washington, but I didn't realize it had a reputation as the rainy city or coffee capital of the world. I didn't know Starbucks was, made up here or anything like that.
What?
Well, I didn't care.
Wait, Starbucks has coffee?
I like your style, so never quit. So
Like video games.
I didn't know any of that stuff, and when I played Coffee Talk, it was obvious. It was like, yeah, coffee capital of the world kind of thing. But it was always raining outside, and I was like, wow, these are really cozy vibes. And I was playing it on a brunch special back when I streamed on Saturday mornings. And Vilos, I think it was you that was like, something to the effect of, typical Seattle rainy vibes, like this is perfect cozy weather and stuff. And I was like, is this a regular thing? And I think you had the same reaction where you're like, yeah, duh. Like everybody knows Seattle's really rainy. I'm like, oh goodness. Yep. Well, today I learned.
Yeah.
You were just testing. You were just testing his intelligence.
Yeah, I was just testing.
Clearly.
Yeah.
But that kind of vibe of like, it's raining outside, let's stay inside, or like, let's stay inside, but in a social setting, like a coffee shop, and spend this time well. Like, let's not waste this time stuck inside out of the rain. Let's make something of it. And I think Coffee Talk did a really great job of creating that vibe of like, we're all kind of weathering this storm together. Let's be friends about it.
Unless you don't give people their numbers.
Oops. When I was in high school, I asked my girlfriend at the time to whatever dance was coming up. We got coffee. Our whole friend group went and got coffee all the time. And we went to this one place. So we'd usually go get coffee at this place, and we'd drink the coffee, and then we'd fiddle around with our cups for like hours, where we'd just sit there and chat in, around this table and these chairs, or whatever. And we'd fiddle with our coffee cups for forever. And I was like, you know what? I know a sneaky way I can ask her to this dance. And so I printed off a thing saying like, hey, will you go to this with me? And I laminated it, and I ordered her coffee, and I put it in the coffee mug because I knew after she was done with it, she would pop it open, and it worked.
Wow.
It was great. I was like, I'm glad that worked because I didn't have a backup plan. I would have had to come up with something. But yeah, I was proud of that
Like,
one.
imagine it being like the one day she just chucks her cup after she's done.
I was sweating because I was like, this would happen, that it's the one day. But
just chokes on it or something.
That's such like a rom-com thing to do. Oh my gosh.
I used to be
romantic. That warms my heart.
No, but it worked out great. But that's funny with Vilos' thing of like, crap, how do I give this person my number? I'll be like, I got a way. Just slip it right in there. Just hope that they fiddle with their cup for an hour after they're done drinking it,
Just like, hold on, I have something for you. Let me just and then like as you're making the coffee, the obnoxiously loud sounds of a laminator laminating just playing in the background too. Oh, just something special for your order. No worry.
Like, hold on. What'd you say? No, just give me just 2 more minutes. It's really slow. But that's rad. Hell yeah. So you think the second game has better writing and is overall at least as good as the first game? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's significantly better. To be honest, and there's the first game didn't have as much closure to me, and the second game has a lot more closure. It has character endings technically. Like
everyone dies
because people.
I was.
I know. I was in the good way. Although again, I haven't played through the bad ending version.
I was gonna say the what?
I did complete the good ending, and one of the pretty much everybody pairs up. One pair actually gets married, so the closure there makes it a lot more significant to me.
Hell yeah. Well, sweet. Coffee Talk 2, hibiscus, and honey.
Butterfly.
Butterflies.
That's hibiscus and butterflies. Cool. Sweet. Then I'll bounce back over to mine and I'll knock them out quick. The first one that I have is a game that I booted up yesterday that I've been playing one session at a time, one boss at a time, as it were. I've been playing Fury.
Ooh, what a throwback.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because this was a game that I used to take to our strictly casual meetups in Kansas City when we did local events there.
I miss those.
Yeah, me too. This is a game that it's single player only. The whole game's a boss rush. It's very brightly colored, like the wallpaper or the splash art you see here. The story doesn't really matter. That's not why I play it. But the combat is great, and you're only fighting bosses all the time with this great music playing the entire time. You can find the soundtrack online, and I highly recommend it. You fight these bosses, and each of them has 5. I'm holding up my... Why is my thing blocked? You see this on my camera? What's going... I can't hold up my hand now?
Somebody's doing something in the past, and we gotta fix it.
You've got 5 phases to every boss fight, and whatever. And the bosses are fun and exciting, and they really reward you to experiment, but across bosses, but across each phase as well, because they'll change up what they're doing. But the game's really fun. But the point is, I used to take it to those meetups, and this was a really great game to pass the controller back and forth with, because you got great music. Most of the stuff, like, you don't really know what you're going to expect till you see it. So anytime you die, you basically have 3 lives, and 3 lives, and every time you get through a phase successfully, you get one of those lives back. So it gives you lots of chances. You just need to learn the patterns, like a Dark Souls game or something. Learn the patterns, and you're pretty much going to figure it out. But when you're playing this with somebody, and this would be couch co-op. Well, it's not a co-op game, but this would be handing, you'd have to be in person for this one. But I remember on the boss that I just beat last night, our friend Lang, he and I were just going at it at this boss, and we couldn't get it. We were throwing, like punching a brick wall, until finally we did it, and we both were just like cheering, just so excited that we did it. And that sense of satisfaction, I was like, man, like, this would have been fun on my own, and it is. But being able to share something like that, where you're each kind of being like, okay, well, I experimented a little bit, and this didn't work for me, but now you know that, and now you'll be better off when you give it your shot here in a second, So this is one I wanted to bring up because I've beaten this game before on the normal difficulty. I'm replaying it again on the normal difficulty, but I'm realizing I'm way better than I was the first time I played it, just because I've forgotten a lot of stuff, but I now know what's possible. There are certain things in the game I just didn't realize were options, like using one of my guns not to actually deal damage, but to just interrupt whatever they're doing, or slashing my sword, again, not to damage them, but just to get them to dodge out of the way to interrupt their huge attack that's going to mess me up. But so, loving this game. Fury came out, I don't know, like 5 years ago, maybe? It's been out for a while. But this one's a banger, and I can't wait to beat it on the normal difficulty and then go back on the next one and have my ass kicked. Because I did at first load up the first boss on the harder difficulty. There are 3 of them, and the third one's unlocked. I mean, it is locked. You cannot access it until you've beaten the game on the normal one, at least. And I don't have my old save file, so I couldn't try it. But I did try it on that middle difficulty, and holy cow, it is so much harder than the starter difficulty. It's insane. There's just so much.
That's hard to believe.
Gosh, I mean, I can't even imagine what the third difficulty is going to look like, dude.
Well, I was going to say, don't forget that you hadn't even mentioned. I don't even know that anybody's really talked about it, but they released the Onimusha DLC for this.
Oh, I saw that while I was
this
looking
year.
What?
What is the significance of that?
Yeah.
Like, is it? It's not maybe like the
it's
same
a lot.
people, or
It is.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
You're playing another character.
You
If I remember right, it's one of the characters that's actually in the story. If I remember right.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting.
But yeah, I do
what a
recommend
crossover.
checking it out. Yeah,
All right, I'm looking this up right now because
Onimusha,
I need to play.
because it's on sale consistently.
This came out Onimusha that you just mentioned. The DLC for Fury just came out. It didn't just come out. It came out last May of 2022.
Yeah.
That's still fairly recent for a game like Fury.
Dude.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they've released other games since they released Fury, and it's weird that they made a DLC for it.
Yeah.
This late.
It's like when they made, what is it, Onimusha Blade Warriors, that platform fighter, and then suddenly you could be Mega Man and Zero in it. I was like, okay.
Well, I'll be excited to jump into this and research this some more after the show. But hell yeah. Wow, I guess I'm glad I brought this up because I was going to be happy with the same game that I experienced before, but now to know that there's even more that I've never seen, that's exciting. So, guess what I'm going to be buying?
Happy Friendsgiving.
Happy Friendsgiving.
Everyone.
Oh my gosh. The Steam page just decided after being open for a whole minute to start playing at max volume in my ears, and I was like, I thought I was under attack. Okay, so I'm excited to play that. Gosh, that really scared me. Like I got goosebumps here. Okay, the last game that I have that I want to talk about. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Hey, it's Grounded. Grounded, we've talked about in the past. Grounded is the most accessible survival game I've ever played. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You and up to 3 allies, teammates, are in this backyard, and you've got to, fight ants and termites probably, and spiders and all this stuff too. But they have an arachnophobia mode, never forget. So if you don't like spiders, you can instead fight big amorphous blobs. You know how it is.
And they're really cute.
They are cute. A bunch of games, even like Satisfactory has an Wait, doesn't Satisfactory?
No, it does. It does.
Okay, yeah. And those are spooky. You go into a cave, that game it doesn't have like any creatures in it.
But none of them have the feature that Grounded has, though. Like, nobody comes close to that.
And I think they still make the spooky, screechy sound, right? Like, well, whatever. The wolf spiders are very spooky in that game. But there are ways around that, and once you, just steer clear of them. This game rules, but also it is kind of scary sometimes.
I mean, just the little ants are like assholes. Like you've got to go after everything that even feels minutely like a threat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of reminds me of Small Ants too. Like, because even the ants were such pesky, strong little assholes. Like, why?
Well, in Grounded, you can base build, which of course I love. So if you want to, much like in a game called like Valheim, you can totally make your base just defensible and pragmatic with just the treasure, the chests, the storage chests, and the utility things like the crafting tables. You can make it just efficient and simple or whatever. Or if you're like me, I love throwing torches everywhere and making everything just look cool. And over here I have a dining room for no reason, even though it serves no practical purpose. But Grounded allows you to do that, and there's no real penalty for it. In fact, even the gathering and storing materials mechanics, I think, is pretty interesting. You can make pallets that you store the stalks of grass and weed stems on that I've never seen a game do before. So it makes that whole process from start to finish, the gathering and the building, feel really cool. So that's something I love because you can build your own home in it. When that home gets big enough, I think once you've added enough to it and the game recognizes that you're like progressing at a certain rate, then suddenly things are much more threatening. So Vilos, you mentioned that like the ants will attack you and stuff. At the beginning of the game, they won't attack you at all at the beginning unless you attack them first. But once you start building up, they will start getting aggressive.
It's like the second that you have something that you're like,
that.
Oh, wow. I'm ready to go. And
oh, you got assets? Oh,
yeah,
square up.
I'm serious. Like when I did play it when it was like the first time it came out, like early access. I didn't play it on release. But at that point they had those aphids, the cute ass aphids. You're like, oh my God. Like, are you guys are just like walking around being cute? Okay. And then I literally, the thing pops up on the screen and it's like, you're being attacked. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And I just walk like 10 feet and I see this black ant and it just stops and just stares at me for a minute and then just rushes at me. I'm like, no. And then I came back and the like 2 walls that I built were gone.
Destroyed.
I'm out of here, man.
Wow. Well, I guess if you like being scared by bugs and insects, play this game. If you don't, you should also play this game. I swear it's not actually scary. Vilos, I'll protect you. All right, just get behind.
Yeah, it's definitely not scary unless you really have an innate
I've heard that before.
arachnophobia fear and stuff like that. But that ant specifically pissed me off.
Wow. They will mess you up. You know, we jumped on top of a ladybug that was just walking around. Ladybugs are like cows, basically. They're very docile, slow, don't give a heck. So we were all standing on top of one, and then I hit it, and we all instantly died. Like, we've got a clip somewhere from Odysseus' stream of all of us on top just dropping dead the moment this thing was like, "You're a threat." You know, and hopped up into the air, did like a rodeo, like a bull buck kind of thing. But this game is exactly as cozy as you want it to be. If you want to focus on fighting all the time and upgrading, great. If you want to focus on base building, great. If you just want to focus on exploring and discovering things, awesome. So like, because of that, and because it does a pretty good job of onboarding people who've never played a survival game before, this is my biggest recommend. Like, there are lots of survival games that I love and that I would recommend, but most of them have a pretty high floor where they expect you to know how to play a survival game. Raft is like that. You load into Raft and you're instantly starving to death. Instantly. And other games are like that too, but in this game, you don't starve. You can't thirst to death. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Correct me, Chad, if I'm wrong. But, you know, if you run out of those things, if you run out of food and water, bad things will happen, but you won't just die like in lots of other games. You have lots of opportunities to find ways to harvest food and water and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, this is the most most accessible game in probably my very favorite genre. So can't recommend this one enough. You can find Grounded on PC and Xbox for sure. I'm pretty sure I think those are the only places you can find it, because I think this is a Microsoft-owned studio. But I love these. When my buddy reached out to me a couple weeks ago about looking for a game to get together and play, this was the one I was like, this has got to be it, because you can either chill or you can completely go nuts and just fight everything, because there's always a bigger bug. There's always some bigger threat where it may look cozy, but it's only as cozy as you want it to be. So that's my last one. I really like that game. All of these games, you know, Fury is one that you'd sit on the couch and play next to each other, because it's single player only, but the other ones are all online co-op. We play a lot of those games around here, but those are like the best ones. Those are the ones that I think you would have the easiest time. You'd have the easiest time convincing a friend who doesn't know anything about them, or maybe who doesn't even play a lot of games, to get those. I think they're shoo-ins. I think all of them are $20 or less. Let's see. What was the first one I talked about? What games have I even talked about now? Deep Rock is 20 or less. Grounded 20 or less. Fury 20 or less. And Played Up
And then
20
Grounded.
or less. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so they're
I
great.
don't know. I mean, you can persuade me to play Grounded. I don't think the spiders. Even with the arachnophobic mode, I had such a close call in real life with a grounded spider that it's just I cannot play specifically that game.
Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna trigger everybody's arachnophobia right now, but I want to tell you some stories of some crazy stuff. I'm not nearly as afraid of spiders as I used to be, even like a couple of years ago. And with my job, I regularly, like, physically come into contact with spiders, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm pretty proud of how far I've come. Like, now I can actually, like, not completely lose my shit when I literally have a spider, like, on something I'm holding. But you know, I'll save that story for later. But I'm proud of myself. You know, it took me my whole entire life to get here, and hopefully I'll stay this way. You know, because now I'm like, if I see a spider, we don't have spiders really indoors in Seattle because there's not AC. There's not ventilation for them to live in. So I'm thankful for that. Maybe that's what I'm most thankful for this Thanksgiving. But no, I'm now the person where, like, if I see a spider inside, I can actually, like, set it outside. You know, instead of just smashing it all the time. So, you know, big ups for me. I know that's not for everybody, but I'm glad I can do it.
Hey, they're trying to take out all the other crappy creatures
That's right.
in your house.
Spiders are
So.
good
Honestly,
bugs.
spiders are your
Yeah.
friends,
They are.
not food.
Yeah. So I'm
Definitely not food.
I'm not saying you have to invite them to Friendsgiving either to eat or to sit at your table, but maybe just, think of the people who are all alone out in the cold just looking for a Friendsgiving to pull up at. The spiders could be one of those people.
If you're
Spiders are
cold,
people
they're
too.
cold. Bring them inside.
You know.
Hey, I mean, if you got a single roach in your house, yo, it's moving in time for that spider.
That's right.
All good.
I mean,
Okay.
if you got roaches, okay, and we got to talk about a different problem. Like
Talking earlier about you hear one thing and I hear another. You talk about having roaches inside, and I'm thinking a different kind of roach. I mean, hey, it is Seattle, baby.
I don't know. Do spiders smoke? What?
Not enough people invite them inside to find that out for themselves, but it's a little known fact.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether it's Friendsgiving or found family, or that games, just are a part of your identity, and it's something that you carry with you, and you find solace in even the single player games. There's a lot. It's a good time of year to be able to enjoy games the way that you want to enjoy them, either alone or with friends. But hopefully you've gotten something from this conversation that'll, give you something to play, especially as we approach like Black Friday and all that good stuff, when stuff will be on sale. So for anything else, we have a huge backlog of shows that you can visit, either now playing or what we've been playing, depending on how far you go back for recommendations. We've played hundreds of games between the three of us this year. Lots of games, and that's not even to speak of all of the demos that I played this past weekend for Extra Life. We just got done with our 2 weekends of Extra Life. Vilos and I said played as well, and we had lots of community members in there, but we were at the helm, raising money for Extra Life here on this channel. I streamed for 12 hours on Saturday. That's too many hours. My throat was like killing me when I ended stream on Sunday. I didn't want to stop streaming, but I was like, I'm gonna get sick if I stream for even 5 more minutes.
I was about to try to find a way to like cut the cord on Saturday. I'm like, how the hell am I like? Can I just stop him from streaming? I don't. I don't know.
Where's the emergency
I was
button?
looking at it was like midnight 15 after or something. I'm like, no, go to bed.
It's like, what is he doing? He's got to be up.
What was your final hour count like over?
I 12 plus 6, so I mean it was approaching.
Yeah, it was a solid
hours.
18.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was a great time.
For the kids.
We played so many games. I can't wait to tell everybody about them. Maybe not all of them, but I certainly had some few favorites. But we will be taking the next week off for Thanksgiving. I won't even be here to run the show. So the following week we should be back. I believe we're gonna talk about all the stuff that we've been playing. Whether over the break or over Extra Life, I know just from the demos. I mean, I have like 5 or 6 games that I'm ready to buy like day one. That I'm interested to see more for. So can't wait to talk more about that. You can still find those on the archive here on Twitch. We'll put those up in some capacity on YouTube later. So don't worry, you'll be able to see at least the best parts of those. So let's see. We're gonna figure out the what we're gonna play here in a minute, but let's wrap up the podcast segment. Once again, I'm your host Tegan, and thanks Vilos and Obsydianyte for joining me.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. Have a safe holiday.
Bye.